Somebody had a birthday, and he would much prefer this to a birthday cake. So we're going to make something for the cameraman today. Let's make country apple dumplings. Jump on in and make it with me. Hi, I'm Mary Catherine, and welcome to my table. I'm so glad you're here. This recipe sure is a favorite around our house. In fact, like I just said, we're going to make it for somebody's birthday instead of birthday cake. But it's so simple. If you don't think that you're a baker, and if you're a little bit afraid of baking, this is the recipe for you. It's great anytime. It would even be a delicious option for upcoming holiday dinners, Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner, dessert. You can make it even if you don't think you're a baker. We're going to start by just preparing our pan. I'm going to spray a 9x13 pan just to have it ready. And then we need 2 apples. And I'm going to quarter them. And then I'm also going to cut each quarter in half. So we're going to actually end up with 8 slices from each of our apples. We're going to use 2 apples. If you have an apple cutter that like cores it and everything, you can use that. That'll be just fine. But if you don't, just look how simple it is to just cut an apple. So I'm going to cut a little bit of that core out. I'm going to make my mess over here so I have my cutting board. And then I'm going to go ahead and peel it. Now, I have done this recipe before where I leave the peel on. And you can do it that way. It's still delicious. But we really kind of prefer it without the peel for this particular recipe. So that's what I'm going to do today. Now that we have our apples all prepared, we're going to take 2 cans of Crescent rolls. And I'm going to open them up. And then what you do is you just take one section. You know how they're perforated like this. So you take one triangle and you just take one slice of apple, put it in the largest part, and then just kind of start to roll it up together. And you end up with something like this. And I go ahead and just kind of pinch those ends to close them up a little bit. And then we're going to start layering them in our baking sheet. And if you notice, each can of Crescent rolls has exactly 8 of the rolls, 8 of the triangles. So that's why we slice our apple into 8 pieces. So if you have 2 cans of Crescent rolls and 2 apples that you slice in 8 pieces, it works out perfectly. And this amount also fits perfectly in my baking dish. You see that we made 2 rows with 6 each. And then it leaves just enough room in the middle to get those last 4. All right, now come over here with me and I'm going to show you the rest of what we're going to do. I'm going to carry this with me. What I have here is 1.5 sticks of butter that I'm melting. This is salted butter because that's what I have. If you have unsalted, it will work just fine in this recipe too. But we're going to let this butter melt. And I don't know if you have seen this recipe before. I've seen it floating around on the internet multiple places. And there are some different measurements that people use for this dish. I've seen some of them call for 1 stick of butter. I've seen some of them call for 2 sticks of butter in this part of the recipe right here. What I have found is I like 1.5 sticks of butter. The 1 is just not quite enough. The 2 sticks of butter is too much. So I'm using 1.5 sticks for this right here. Okay, our butter is just almost melted. So at this point, if you want to, you can go ahead and add the sugar. So I'm going to do that now. We're going to use about 1 1/4 cups of sugar. And there again, I've seen other measurements online. Some of them call for 1.5 cups, but we're going to use 1 1/4, just about like that. And then we're going to put some cinnamon in. Now, this cinnamon I pick up at Costco, and it is a very good quality cinnamon. It's a little bit stronger than some other ones that you might have. So you don't need a lot of this. I'm probably only going to sprinkle maybe a teaspoon into it. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. If you like a lot of cinnamon, add more. But that's probably going to be plenty for our recipe today. And you see that butter's finished melting. And we're just going to stir this sugar and cinnamon into it. And you can kind of tell at this point by the color of this mixture if you think you might want more cinnamon. I want mine a little bit darker, so I'm going to add just a little more sprinkle of cinnamon. About like that. Okay, now I'm going to pull it off. And I'm just going to continue to stir it. So that all gets mixed well. And it's going to be fine if it's not completely mixed, because once it's in the pan, it's going to all cook together and be delicious. Okay, let's go ahead and pour it on. I'll do it this way so you can see a little better. There we go. Now I'm going to try to cover as much of each of the dumplings as we can with this mixture. All right. There we go. And the last ingredient is something that sounds really weird, but it's a can of Mountain Dew. Now, there again, other recipes call for a whole can of Mountain Dew, like the 12-ounce can. I think that's a little too much. So I use the little mini cans that you can get that are 7.5 ounces. So I think this is the perfect size. I buy these specifically for this recipe because we don't drink it on a regular basis. But I use them in this recipe. So I keep these little mini cans on hand just for this. And when I pour it over, I try not to go right on top of the dumplings. I try to go around it because I want that sugar mixture that we just poured, the sugar and butter mixture, I want that to stay on top of the dumplings as much as possible. So I just kind of go around and find different little spots where I'm not on top of the dumplings and put this Mountain Dew in. There we go. And that looks like a lot of liquid now, but those crescent rolls are going to soak up all that juice, all that sugar and cinnamon, and these are going to taste delicious. I'm going to put them in the oven at 350 degrees, and we bake them for about 35 to 40 minutes. So I'm going to set my timer, come back and see them with me then. Woo! Look at those apple dumplings. Just look at them. All right, now that looks delicious, and it smells so good in this kitchen right now. Those are going to be perfect. I actually let them go about 5 extra minutes. I tried, set the timer for 35 minutes, checked on them, and at 40, they were ready. We let them go an extra 5 minutes. And that's about the brownness that I want. If you want them a little touch browner, leave them in a little longer. If you want them a little less brown, then don't cook them quite as long. But that was 40 minutes exactly. We are going to dig into those tonight. They're still going to be a little bit warm when we eat them. So we're going to top them with a little bit of vanilla ice cream. And they're going to be just yummy. Here is the finished product. You get a perfect little apple dumpling. And I've topped it with just a little bit of vanilla ice cream. Let's give it a taste. You can see that warm apple dumpling is melting that ice cream just a little bit. Let's get some of that. Ooh, that's really good. I'm so glad you were with me today here at Mary Catherine's table. I really regret that you're not all here in the kitchen with me and we could share these apple dumplings together. I hope you'll make them for your family. I know that they'll love them too. And like I said, if you don't consider yourself a great baker, you can still make these. Did you see how easy they were? So I hope you'll give them a try today. Remember to hit subscribe if you like this content. We're always coming out with new things. Set it where you'll get the notifications. Share our videos with your friends. We'd love to have them join us too. And remember to find someone today who needs a little bit of kindness and give them some of yours.